PHP programming, partial hospitalization, partial day programming, typically consists of 6 hours of programming, and it is the next step in the transition coming from detox and residential. There are some that can go directly into PHP programming, usually depending on the severity of post acute withdrawal symptoms. And these are different for everyone. Not only are they different for everyone, but they're also considerably different depending on what substance that individual was using before. Sometimes, if someone is coming off of a extensive run or an extensive period of time with copious amounts of alcohol or opiates or benzodiazepines, we may advocate that person does go to a detox residential facility for a more acute stabilization. However, that is the patient's choice. That's the client's choice. The potential client, the potential patient, they get to choose if they think they can go cold turkey. Then they do have the opportunity to start off at PHP, and that is their call. And this is where the MAP program would actually come into assistance with some of those more um, rapid detoxes, we would call them, even though it's not at the detox level, right? It's not at the residential level. You're not in a specific facility where you're going to be spending the next 7 days just detoxing, just sleeping, just eating. If you think you're functional enough to be able to come to programming, then that's a little bit of what the potentials to admitting into PHP could look like. Now, PHP is a structured form of programming because the amount of hours we touched on is 6 hours a day, up to 7 days a week. So a lot can get done in 6 hours, 7 days a week, and that can normally go on for about 21 days before we strongly advocate for a step down. It could be sooner, it could be longer, but ideally, we see it between the 2 week and the 4 week mark is somewhere where we want to step down, because the goal is to work ourselves out of being needed, is to work the client into being independent and to not constantly be dependent on the program in order to be sober. If the only way that they can be sober is by being with us 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, we're not really succeeding in helping that client accomplish what they want to accomplish, helping them get to where they wanted to get to when they came to us. Um, they may need us in that moment, but again, the goal is to hopefully be able to give them the coping skills to stay sober by themselves. Now, in those 6 hours during those 7 days a week, it's similar to IOP as far as the services, but again, more intense. So we're talking about up to 5 sessions a day. And those sessions can be group sessions, they can be vocational sessions, they can be therapeutic sessions. Then you have individual sessions with case managers, with counselors, with therapists, with life coaches, with nutritional dietitians, with personal trainers. We change it up. Not everything is a requirement as far as state or private insurance or indigent insurance or even scholarship. Maybe it may not be required that you meet with a personal trainer or a life coach, but we strongly advocate for it, and we offer those outside of the scope of what is just required. So we meet all the requirements as far as therapy, counseling, case management, discharge transition planning, assessments, suicide assessment, biopsychosocial assessment, anxiety assessment, depression assessment, along with a consultation from a primary care physician. We check all those boxes, and then we offer more outside of that as well. And in PHP is where you're really going to be able to capitalize and maximize on all of the services that we provide, on all of the different modalities and the holistic treatment that we're really trying to provide at Tunnel Vision Recovery. And I think PHP is really your introduction, your welcome into seeing what we believe at Tunnel Vision Recovery, what treatment should really be like. And we're trying to improve on every single aspect, every single characteristic of what makes us us, from the way we eat to the time we wake up, to the way that we interact with people, to the way that we cope with our emotions, to the way that we share, the way that we talk about what we're going through, and how we process those things. Therapy, our emotions, our anger, case management, our behaviors, our consequences, our rewards, our outcomes. Um, all of those things are what we want to focus on and more, right? Our fitness, our physical health is just as important as our mental health. So this is ideally what you're going to experience in PHP programming. And hopefully through interaction with our skilled clinicians, case managers, and therapists, we will be able to create an individualized treatment plan that is able to shine a light and focus on what is specifically important for each individual client. We create an individualized treatment plan for what we think clients need to focus on specifically, because it is not always the same. Some clients do need a little bit more assistance in regulating their diet, in regulating their emotions, in maybe cutting down on smoking nicotine or tobacco. And other clients may need more therapy to process trauma, to process recent trauma, guilt, shame, remorse, and other situations. Some may have extensive legal history, open cases. So these are the things that the clinician will be building around. The obstacles, the barriers in an individual's life is really what we're going to be honing in on in that PHP programming in those first couple of weeks, first few weeks that they're with us. And then we will transition into more of the working phase, which would be the IOP, and eventually down to the OP phase, which would be the lowest level of structure. Of course, for clients that are ready for that, we will advocate for that. And at the end of the day, it is the client's choice. So that's an important factor to remember as well. So during PHP, the frequency can vary. Typically, we see a PHP anywhere from 5 to 7 days a week. However, that's not always necessary. There is the ability to work, there is the ability to go to school. And of course, there's always going to be the ability to attend any family emergencies or any legal issues that could come up. There are approved deviations. Usually these things have to be scheduled in advance. They have to be advocated for. They have to be brought up by the client in advance. Hey, I have a court date coming up. Obviously, a family emergency are not things we can plan for in advance, but there is some accommodations that can be made. We do have a program schedule that goes from 9 a.m. to about 8:30 p.m. So when you think about that, the fact that we have a morning, afternoon, and evening track, you see how we can be a little bit more, not flexible, but accommodating in helping the client meet their needs while also allowing them to be independent, because that's a huge part of what we're all about at Tunnel Vision as well. We want you to go to school. We want you to have a job. In fact, those goals, those in fact, those vocational goals are incorporated into every client's treatment plan if they're not already there at the time of admission. So it would be counterproductive for us to not allow a client to work or to go to school or to attend family emergencies or to clear up their legal matters and try to get those resolved. Also, personal medical conditions, emergencies, situations, last minute diagnosis, things that a client didn't know they had, and anything like that. We'll go out of our way and we'll make sure that those get handled during program hours as well. You know what? That's an important thing to touch on, is not only can a client attend school, work on resolving their legal issues, attend to a family emergency, and focus on their physical health during PHP programming. Typically, there is a huge chance that most likely Tunnel Vision Recovery will assist them in the transportation, will send a staff member, a peer recovery support specialist, an operations coordinator, or even a case manager, counselor. It is not, sometimes our owner, our chief of operations, our program director, our executive director will come with you to a court date, will come with you to see your probation officer, will come with you to a family emergency if you feel like you're not strong enough. So I think that that's an important thing also to highlight about tunnel vision recovery is that we are there for that support. We are there for that step down. We want them to utilize us while they can and while they're able to, while they have the ability to and the freedom to. And hopefully, like I said, work them into being fully independent, not dependent upon us, but we're there when they need us.